Welcome back to the Dealing Seconds podcast. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Chris. Yeah, I'm running solo today. That's because Dan and John are busy. They each have lives, of course, besides just the card community and this podcast. So it's all good. I'll be hosting this by myself today. But don't you worry, we have a special guest. You probably know now from the title below who our special guest is. Awesome guy. Definitely one of the favorites in the community. Awesome guy to us. We love his decks. We always talk about him. You know what? Screw it. Let's just bring him on the show. Welcome to the show, Stephen O'Neill. Stephen, how are you doing today, man?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Not bad. It's Sunday here afternoon. I have a lot to do today, but you know what? I had to get an episode in. As you know, you've probably seen the show. Dan's not here. John's not here. They actually have lives. You know, unlike me, I have no life. But then again, you have 2 kids and a wife. I don't know how the hell you're still doing it. And you're making cards. And you're creating cards.
Yeah,
so,
a little bit hectic, to be honest. Although I am privileged to be the co-host today. I feel like I'm on SNL.
Hey, you could do whatever you want. You could say, this is basically ad-lib, anything you want. Any jokes, whatever you want to say, all up to you, perfectly fine. But for those who are watching, if you don't know, and I don't know how you not know, and you're living under a goddamn rock, Stephen has an awesome Kickstarter out right now. The Beyond the Endless Dark playing cards right now on Kickstarter. Link will be in the description below. So if you want to check it out, go click it. Hopefully pledge. I mean, granted, you're funded right now, which is amazing, but you have some awesome, like, I would say stretch goals that you want to hit. 2 have already been opened, but there's more. I'll let you guys go check it out in the description below. Check out the link. Pledge. Trust me, you're going to like it. So, first and foremost, it took you goddamn forever to create this deck. You went on a goddamn tangent with these damn chilies, and shit, you should have finished that, because now I'm one of those people that I will support all the time. I have all your chilies and a freaking DS6, those little flexible carrot cases, and I'm missing those last 2 to finish the word chilies. Like, come on, just but then again, this is a good deck.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, the chili is like you say, it was a little bit of a tangent, but I had other ideas I wanted to explore before coming back to the Beyond deck. So this has kind of been on and off for a little while. It's been one of those things that I've worked on gradually, but yeah, I'm glad it's here. I'm glad I can finally put it out there.
Yeah, I mean, right now on the screen, you guys will be seeing pictures of the Beyond the Endless Dark playing cards. It'll be posted right now. One thing I'm actually interested, I wanted to ask you, because of course this was the original Beyond playing cards as I'm using right now, the V1s, which were amazing. What made you decide to go from Cartamundi, which I remember you printed these, and I think also the chilies with, and now you're printing with Hansen Chen? What was the big decision there to switch printers?
Well, I think it's a similar song that's being sung across the community at the moment. Printing costs are exceptionally high. I witnessed it firsthand last year when I released the Kickstarter for the special edition chilies. The Kickstarter goal was way too high.
Yeah, so, it was.
It was a result of the prices that Cartamundi were giving me. So initially, I had a quote from them, which was pretty decent. And then within the space of 3 months, the price increased at least 2 to 3 times. And then I double-checked with them like the week before I launched, and they had upped the price again. So obviously, I didn't want to back out of the Kickstarter. I kind of had this inkling that it might not go according to plan.
Yeah.
But I had backups in place with the Aurora deck and everything like that. So, yeah, with this one, if I'd have gone with Cartamundi, my goal would have been ridiculous. There'd have been no way on earth that it would have funded. I wouldn't have been able to add all these extra stretch goals. I'd like to throw more extra things in. I don't want to offer too many decks or anything like that, too many choices, but it'd be quite nice to actually be able to afford to pay for these extras. With the Aurora deck, I learned a pretty hard lesson last year with that. It hit its goal, but it literally hit 100% and stopped. It went up and down a little bit, and towards the end, it just finished on 100%. And I think that, for me, was a bit of a wake-up call that I really want to be able to continue putting out my designs.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be able to I don't want to put that cost onto the customers.
For sure.
And I also can't afford to be able to just pay the Cartamundi 5,000, 6,000 just to print my cards, and then a couple of thousand for shipping. It's not enough. So the choice, it was a very difficult choice. It was very by the wire. I've spoken to Hansen Chen a couple of times recently, and they are very on it. They're a lot more responsive than I expected. And yeah, one of the decks that I've got now, which is done by a friend of mine, the Wild Garden deck is a Hansen Chen, and the stock and the feel of it is it's exceptional. I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, 100%. I think Hansen Chen is doing some crazy things and some great things, I should say. I mean, I know even Black Roses, their cold foil was done by Hansen Chen. I've had a few Hansen Chen decks, and they feel great. The only problem that everybody says across the board, we all know this, they stink right out of the box. It's a chemical smell right out of the box. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, their stock, their finish is great. They last a long time. I've worked some Hansen Chen decks to the breaking point, and honestly, they haven't pooped out because they're really good stocks, which I'm very happy with. But again, like you said, it's just the crazy cost prices of printing with whether it be USPCC or Carta Mundi. It's just like, come on, enough is enough. You know, we understand there's cost. We're getting out of COVID. Things shouldn't be this high. I know there's inflation, granted, but this kind of inflation is not heard of. Which is sad.
It is sad. I actually I felt a little bit like the smaller creators are just getting priced out of the market at the moment. We obviously don't have the funds that the higher brands, the bigger brands do, so we can't put our own resources into these projects.
Exactly.
And even if we did, we probably wouldn't see the return of it or anything. So I think it's just sign of the times that it's just really difficult at the moment. The prices, we've just priced out. It'd be nice to see some sort of leeway, but I mean, I reached out to everybody, even with some of the discounts that you can get out there. It was just too much.
It really is way too much for these big guys. And also, it's like the big creators, granted, some of them are starting to move off of Kickstarter, which is great to see. But still, a lot of them are on Kickstarter, and it's like, enough is enough. You know, you guys have the funds in your back pocket to self-fund the deck. You know, let smaller creators like yourself, like Danny, like everybody else, you know, have their time in the sun, to let them shine a little bit. Let them have their spotlight. Don't try to hog the spotlight, so to speak. And it's sad because, like, if, for example, like your deck wasn't very well known in the community already, if you weren't very well known in the community, this amazing deck would not be funded as it is right now. I mean, I'm looking at it right now, and literally, it's a Sunday afternoon, guys, September 3rd right now. My time is 12:45. Literally, in the time we've been recording, $1,000 was jumped into your Kickstarter. It went about $1,000 up. I was like, oh, it went from 9 to 10. I was like, oh, you see? That being said, if you weren't very well known or, you know, had some successes, people wouldn't know you. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't be like, oh, there's a big guy. Let me go with the big guy. They produce better decks. Not really. It's kind of bullshit. One question I have for you, because I know with the V1, with the chilies and everything, you designed the deck. On this deck, you have a designer, someone else, doing your courts and the jokers. Why? What was the decision on that?
Well, it was part of a bigger plan originally. I had this crazy idea that I wanted to make a Beyond V2 that was going to be very similar to the Beyond V1. It's still going to keep that traditional sort of court style artwork. And then I wanted to do this. I had this idea for this Beyond Stories, like, side project, which would just be like a bit of a spin-off, really. And it was gonna. The idea originally started as I was gonna ask artists within the artist community that I'm in close contact with, that I talk to quite regularly. I was gonna ask them to illustrate a series of courts, cards, and jokers and stuff like that, and sort of get them involved and sort of get their names out there as well. Obviously, the illustrator that I've used is Ken. I've shared his link on my campaign if you want to check it out. But I initially commissioned him to do one court card, and then we went from there, and I paid him to do the rest. His artwork was phenomenal. So originally it was going to be like a series of like 3 or 4 decks that was based on like really old sci-fi movies, and it was going to have like a poster of an old sci-fi movie and sort of have like its own spin-off series, but keep the Beyond deck as it was. And then with everything that happened last year and how the market sort of changed, and having that Aurora deck, Kickstarter fund, but only just, it just sort of made me take a step back and just thought, I'm trying to run before I can walk. Mm-hmm. So I needed to sort of bring my ideas together. So Beyond V2 became a part of that idea, but I'm just sort of bringing it over to the main line sort of time. If I ever did a Beyond V3, I think I probably would go back to something a little bit more traditional. But for now, I think this is just a nice blend of the two ideas that was.
Honestly, I love the idea. I love the fact that it's a, it's a borderless back. It's two-way back, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind one-way backs. They're fine, but I still prefer a two-way back myself. And it's a great design. And Kem's artwork is amazing. I was just trying to look at the court cards here a second ago, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be an insane deck. The artwork is beautiful. Not to say you're not good. Not to say you're not good, Steven. With your,
I'm not this good. I'm not this good.
yeah, the artwork is just amazing. I mean, I'm excited to see what will happen if you did a V3, if you wanted to do a blend of like this style and your original style, which would be really interesting to see how that would work. No, but also we were talking about earlier about the big guys, getting their time and everything like that. It's sad. And I think you probably saw our last episode and you probably seen everything like that. It's sad that these big creators are constantly pushing out so much product, the oversaturation. I think your campaign is great because it's precise. There's 2 decks. You know exactly what you're getting. Like for example, the Paradox deck, which is your second deck that you're offering, you even said it. It's done through MPC, if I'm not mistaken, correct? So you're getting a limited deck. So that's a true limited deck. But you're upfront with it. You're saying this is NPC. You know what you're getting, but it's limited to however many I need to buy and print. That's how many I'm getting, which is great. Then you have, members of the community who try to apologize to the community and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for producing so many decks, but you have thousands of sitting them in your stock probably." And it's like, come on, stop already. You're the problem. You guys, those big guys are the problem. What are your thoughts on this? That's why I wanted to ask you that. What are your thoughts on the big guys really pushing in my opinion, pushing our community to an oversaturation point?
Yeah, I agree to an extent that there's definitely some oversaturation. I think it is caused by bigger brands pushing too much. I think the only issue is if you look at some of the more well-known ones, you're probably going to get you've already got a large back catalogue of people, and if you wanted to collect all of those, it's a lot of money to put into it because if you look at Fontaine, for example, that was like one of the first brands that I was ever aware of. It's one of the inspirations from the Chili's decks because they just had their single colour backs. The Chili's actually came from that because I wanted to show that you just don't have to have a single colour. You can use like a chromatic colorway for those rather than having just like one single color. But yeah, if you're wanting to collect the older editions of the Fontaine decks, it's a lot of money to put into it. And then if you look at a collection, if someone's got all of those decks, that's amazing. Keep going because that's going to be worth something, isn't it? But yeah, when you see bigger brands putting more into it than what's necessary, I think it does sort of hurt it a little bit. And it's more the smaller creators that suffer because everyone's wanting to scramble to buy the more expensive, the wider collection, and then the smaller brands, they just don't get looked at. So it is a little bit disappointing. What I would like to see, and I think has been quite good, there's been a lot of collaborations with bigger brands and bigger names recently. And I think the way to change what's happening to the community at the moment would be for those collaborations to trickle down to smaller creators. Mm-hmm. And I'm not personally asking for anybody to reach out to me and say, here you are, Stephen, here's a helping hand. We'll get you 10,000 units shipped or whatever just because you've asked for it. That's not what I'm asking for. It'd be nice to see someone like Missing or King's Wild Products or any big brand reaching out to like Luke Wadey and just sort of saying we want to collab with you because that'll mean more to Luke than it would do any other brand. Yeah. That'll mean more to the community because obviously Luke's quite well known anyway now, but it'd be nice for that side of the community to learn about him because I think there's all like pockets that you don't see everyone. They only see
100%.
big brands.
100%.
So yeah, it'd be really nice, I think, for the bigger brands to actually start collaborating with the smaller brands. There's only there's 2 collaborations that I thought were actually quite nice, which is the first Rider back. Okay. And the Fontaine Missing deck is beautiful, and I've only ever said that about one other Fontaine deck. But no, I think it'd be quite nice. It'd be a good gesture to the smaller creators, and it also shows that the bigger brands are in there to support smaller creators and support the community as a whole, rather than just support each other and just, like you said in one of your previous videos, monopolize the industry. Because with the combination of the pricing of like Cartamundi and USPCC having ridiculous prices, this is also a factor in terms of smaller creators not being able to
Yep.
get in there. So it would. I'm not saying they have to do it. It would be quite nice to see, and I think if Missing and Luke Wadey ever did a combination, I think it'd be phenomenal, really.
That would be definitely a phenomenal deck to think about it. I mean, but also talking about other UK creators, you were mentioning before our cards, for example, with the Hansen Chen deck with his beautiful garden deck. Great deck, by the way. That one was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Took me forever to get that deck. I was waiting a while. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I get the shipping problems, but damn, that was a long time. You know, part of me wanted to reach out to him and be like, are the decks really shipping? Because after a while, I was just like, because as you know, it's like when us backers, we back decks or we back a project. We like to have a good amount, not overly done, but a good amount of communication and maybe feedback what's happening, maybe once every few weeks or so like that, or maybe once a month. So that way we know that the creator's still creating something. With him, he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. Great guy. I think he's awesome. But there was a point where it was just very like radio silence for a while. And it just got me a little frustrated. Like, okay, what's happening? Where are the decks? You know, if the decks are delayed, just say it. That's why I always say, just say it. I remember on all your campaigns, you were very judicious of like saying, okay, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. Don't worry, I'm still here. Decks are being produced. We'll get them to you. Luke, for example, amazing at that. He is always on top of it. Always tells all his backers what's happening. Dan with In Sessions, aka my brother, here in Dealing Seconds, even though he's not here, asshole. That was for you, Dan.
He's here in spirit. He's here in spirit somewhere. I've got one of his decks there. So.
I have too many of his decks. I really do. I started putting decks away because I don't have a lot of space anymore. And it's funny because actually the only decks I have displayed are his, Luke Wadey's, and yours right now. Like
nice.
Fully properly displayed. And those are the only ones I have right now as I'm looking around. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, those are the only ones all, 2 UK creators and 1 American based creator. Like, great.
I have to put a lot of mine in storage. I've got quite a few that are just in boxes now because I think 1, my wife would probably kill me if I just put them all out on display, and 2, I just don't have the room. I literally have a few out that arrived recently as well. So.
Yeah, for me, it's luckily I live alone, so I don't have to worry about that. So I'm like, but then again, you have a house. I live in a small studio apartment in Manhattan, in New York City. So I'm just like, yeah, here real estate is a prime thing, and I don't have a lot of it, so I just got to deal with it. No, but like I was saying, so having that constant communication with your backers is very key, no matter if you're small or a big guy. For example, I know Jackson Robinson with King's Wild. He does his own thing now, but recently he did the Lord of the Rings decks, both of them, and he's been and I've backed both of them. He was very consistent with his updates, with sending out updates to all the backers, letting us know what's happening. But then there are some smaller creators that really don't say a word. Literally, they get funded, they'll send out one email, oh, thank you, and you don't hear from them for about a year. And then of course you have those that take your money and run and never get anything done. So
yeah, let's talk about those.
Oh, we can talk about those. There are a couple that I've backed that I'm not ever going to see. And I thank God I didn't pledge a lot. I only did maybe 1 deck in those or 2. But yeah, I'm never going to see those decks. It's been over a year and a half.
I've seen the other side of that. I've got backers from the original Beyond Kickstarter, and they have not responded to surveys, emails, messages, or anything. And I know they're active because some of those people who have not said oh yes, send me this deck to this address. They have created their own Kickstarter, so they're definitely active and aware. So yeah, some people just haven't. I don't know how many. I think there was more on the original Beyond decks. I think it was like 300 and something backers. I think it was. But yeah, I think there was a handful that just haven't. And same with the unique deck from the Chili's. I think I had one person who was not responded to. So in a bit of a loss of whether I should just send a random deck. We'll see.
But that honestly,
well,
talking about the unique deck, that was a great idea on your last campaign. Smart idea. I think that was great. I think people who really backed your deck was able to get it. I, for one, definitely did. Let me see. I know I have it. Yeah, literally, I have it at arm's length. Literally. So
nice.
That was So for those of you who don't know, Steven on his last Chili's campaign had an option where you can pledge, or not pledge, you could pay for a unique Sillies deck where he actually creates you a custom deck based on the theme that you choose. And I chose, as me being a nerd and I play Magic the Gathering and I love dice, I chose a D20 die. And Steven knocked it out of the park with this deck. I think it's just amazing. This one's still sealed. I have an open one literally up there. Yeah, as you can tell, I have everything
Oh, thank you.
arm's reach. But it was I think it was a great idea. I've seen some others. I know Dan had one that was a locksmith theme. I think there was a couple others I saw as well. I forgot
Yeah,
who-
there's a handful on my Instagram which
Yeah.
which I showcased. I'm still working on one because there's been a few revisions for one of them, so I'm still working on one, and then I've got one for someone who's UK based, which is quite happy to wait as long as I spend a bit more time on it. So yeah, I'm
Nice.
still working on some of those, but yeah, it was an interesting experiment. I think it took me a lot longer than I anticipated it would. There was definitely some pitfalls in my plan, and then having a second child, which happened during all that, which was very helpful in my schedule. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
there was a few factors.
Oh yeah, once you have a second child, your life is no longer your own anymore. One child you could probably manage, especially with two parents. You can double team and tackle one kid.
Yeah.
Now there's two. Oh, just remember, everything your first child did, your second child's going to do, but worse, because you're not going to see it coming, because that child's going to have more leeway. Trust me.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Dan would say the same thing. I'm saying it because I have two kids myself. Yeah, and like I told you before we started recording, when you have the first one, you're all like, "Oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to be very careful with this one." Second child, you're like, you want to put your finger in the outlet? Go right ahead. See what happens. Not to say I ever did that with
Yeah.
my kids. I've never done that with my kids, guys. There is no child abuse here. But you're more lax with your second kid, and it just naturally happens with every parent because there is no handbook of how to be a parent. And if anybody says, "Oh, read a book of how to be a parent," there is no handbook of how to be a parent. You just are a parent. You learn on the fly, and it's a great thing.
Even when people warn you about things, it's completely different, isn't it? When you're
Yep.
in there, it's like a war zone.
Yep. When I always told my daughter, my older daughter, because I remember when they were because I think your kids are what, about 3 years apart?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So my kids are exactly the same, 3 years apart. And I told my older daughter when she was 4, and my little one was 1, she would always pick on her a little bit. And I always told her, watch, one day your sister's going to get pissed off. She's going to get bigger and she's going to slap you like crazy. Literally a couple years later, it happened. I started laughing my butt off because she's looking at me. Her sister reared back, slapped the hell out of her, and I'm just laughing. I'm just like, you deserved it. You deserved it. I can't do anything about this. Like, you 100% deserve that one. Of course, we choose not to do violence, but, kids will be kids. They're always going to play fight. Something's going to happen. It's life at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
it is. Yeah.
And that leads into like you being a creator. I mean, you have a full-time job, for Christ's sake. You have a job, fatherhood, husband, and then this is just over here on the side. Like, oh, let me create cards. It's like, yeah, that's not going to be 100% of your time, but whatever time you can delve into it, you'll do what you can. And granted, like every deck that I've seen from you has been amazing. You've been
thank you.
you've been on point. You've been seriously great with updates. I think the campaign is super clean and smooth. I don't think it's oversaturated with so many things. Like, granted, some of your other campaigns have been a little bit much. Not gonna lie. Like, there have been a couple Chili's campaigns that have been a little bit much. But I think this one is clean. It's crisp. Now, I'm looking at the campaign. I'm looking at these stretch goals and whatnot. Okay, can you elaborate a little bit? What the hell is a Paradox VX? As I'm saying, it's clean, it's easy, 2 decks, and all of a sudden I'm like, there's a fucking third deck.
Well, it's more that I after Beyond V1 came out that I had an idea for a white version, and that's how the Paradox deck became. So yeah, the VX. I'm going to share some artwork with it with everyone at some point, and the stretch goal is quite a lot higher.
Yeah.
So if it does fund, I will obviously print these decks as well, but they'll also be the same as some of the original this Paradox. So it'll be limited to the number that's ordered, so I won't order anymore. Like I say, I didn't want to just throw too many things out there, but it's one of those campaigns where I'm not complaining about what other people use for stretch goals. But when you see stretch goals and it's like 20,000 $30,000 stretch goal, and all they're adding on are stickers.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit unfair for the backers who are putting
Yes.
all extra. There was one in particular last year, I think it was last year, that was a very, very high number.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their stretch goal for like $120,000, or I think it may have been higher than that. I think that was just stickers, and I think there was a bit of a lot of complaining from people in the background.
Yeah.
Just like, well, he can afford to send out another deck, so surely he can. Why is it just stickers? So I just wanted to put it out there. A stretch goal that would be worth stretching to.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fund, it's fine. But if it does, I'll send something out, and it's based on. Sorry, someone's trying to get into the room.
Probably the little one.
Yep. Are you okay?
This is live,
I'm
guys.
working.
This is live.
You want to say hello?
Hi.
Oh, he's gone all shy. Want to go back to mummy? Go find mummy. Sorry about that.
No, this is what happens. We're parents. You have your kids. This is what happens. This is real life. This is what I'm saying. Like, that's why John and Dan aren't here, because they have work, they have lives, they have their families they have to take care of. Same thing like you. You know, you're doing your best you can to be a father and a husband and an artist at the end of the day, which is amazing. I mean, granted, some guys, and let's be honest, guys, we can't multitask very well. And, you know, we have sometimes some guys, myself included, have very short attention spans. And, you know, to try to multitask is like, okay, yeah, this is not going to work well.
Yeah. I've had to write more stuff down since being a father. I've had to make sure that my memory isn't my memory anymore. Like, I literally just have a notepad just to write things down just so I can remember.
Yeah. 'Cause otherwise, nothing will ever get done.
Yeah.
I do that too. You have to.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I've got a deck ideas on an old tuck box.
Trust me, I have all my notes on my phone, because right now, if my girlfriend if I forget my girlfriend's birthday, she'll get mad at me. She won't get pissed, but she'll get mad. So I'm just like, okay, I know her birthday. I have it on my calendar. We're good. Anniversary, we're set. Wait, do I know our anniversary? Yes, I do. We're good. Okay, we're
Show
good.
your true colors.
Yeah, I have a bad, when it comes to like dates, I have a very bad memory. Very, very bad memory. It just happens for me personally, having two kids, and now my kids are older and all these grays. It's like, you know, I just turned 38 and I'm already losing my memory. Like, this is bullshit. But being a dad, you know.
I'm fine with dates. It's names that I struggle with.
Oh,
like,
I suck with names. I can remember people's faces. Funny thing is, I work in retail. I work in the wine business. So I have customers coming in every single day. They remember my name. I can't remember theirs. But the flip side is, I remember their dogs. Whenever
that's what's important. So.
yeah, it's like whenever somebody comes in with the dog, I'll remember the dog's name, but I'll never remember the owner's name. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, but I know your dog. Like, it just always happens. It's like, I prefer dogs, and just, you know, at least they don't talk back to me, you know, so I'm cool with that.
yeah.
No, but going back to your...
The VX.
Yeah.
It was basically, if once I put the artwork out there, it's basically very similar to the original Beyond deck. It'll have the Beyond deck court cards and stuff like that. So it's almost like the Paradox that never was.
Yeah.
So so it'll be a white version of the original Beyond deck, but its artwork will be the back of the deck will be slightly different. I will share. I have got one render, but it's got some old artwork on an old court card, and so can't quite share that as it is.
No, that'd be really cool. That'd be very interesting to see. I mean, even just looking on your campaign, just looking at the progression of how Beyond V1 to Beyond V2 has changed. It's like there is a progression, and there is a style that's there, which is great. Even with your chilies, and of course, I'll be putting chilies pictures up. Hopefully, Chris, remember. If I don't, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I try to get these. You know, I'm the one man show here. Like Grant, like we always say, Dan and I and John, we always say this is the joke of ours. Like, I don't do anything with cards. I can't create cards. I'm not a cardist. I'm not a magician. All I do is I run the podcast. I tell the guys, show up on this day. We're talking about this. We're done. You don't have to help me edit. You don't have to help me do any of that. Okay, even better. See, haha, I don't have to do anything. This makes my life so much easier. There are a couple colors missing.
Yeah, they're a little bit further away.
And there's also one you forgot to show, which is I actually have this one handy.
Oh, nice. Have you got it?
Yep, the Capsicum deck. Yep. This one I actually do like a lot. And like I said, I have your cards are like right here handy. It's insane. It's just I use them all the time.
Yeah. I really appreciate that.
No, and yes, I am the crazy one that got backer number one on this one. Yes, I did, guys. I'm sorry. It's a joke of ours now. It's like Chris always gets backer number one. I don't plan to get backer number one on Kickstarters. I'm just like, okay, I know what time they're supposed to go live. I'm like, okay, I'm either at work or I'm on the bus or on the train going to work. And I'm like, oh, it's that time. All right, let me go on. Boom, pledge. Oh, you're backer one. Like, what the fuck? Really? Again? Fine.
It tends to, I would say normally when you launch Kickstarter, you'll see like it go up, like 1 or 2, 3 people quite quickly, and you sort of sit there, you think, oh wow, like people are backing already. With this one, there was like a little bit of a lull where I was just sat there like, it's not moved. Like, has it not worked? Has it? So, on a Tuesday, we always go out because it's my son goes to his grandparents. So on a Tuesday, so as soon as I finish work on a Tuesday, that's it. I'll launch the campaign and then I'll go.
Yeah.
So then I'll be driving for like 45 minutes and then, yeah, I don't tend to see what's happening between that time. And then this time, I just saw it. It wasn't moving. I thought, right, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to look. And then my wife was like, oh my God, this is going up quite quickly. And I'm like, don't tell me. I don't want to look yet. So yeah, there's always a bit of a panic over that.
Yeah, Darren and I joke around. He was backer number 2. I'm like, haha, I'm backer 1, asshole. He's like, of course you're. I'm like, yes, I am. Yep, it's me. No, it's because I don't. For me, when I first got into this community, I was buying everything, backing as much as I possibly could. Now, after doing this for almost 2 years, 2.5 years, almost 3 now, it's more of I'm being very selective now. Like I'm not going to back every single deck. I'm not going to buy every single deck. I rather support people that I like, people that actually I communicate with, like yourself and Luke. You know, people that I actually want to be like, hey, I want to support the little guys. I don't want to just buy big brands anymore. If I'm going to buy a big brand, I'm going to buy worker decks and I'm going to buy rider backs. That's all I'm buying. If I buy from big brands, I'm not worth my time.
I can say I'm very much the same now. I literally just go through, pick decks that I really like. The last one that I backed is Darren's Decades Back. I absolutely love that deck.
It's a beautiful deck.
So happy with that. Yeah. And then I had to go for it's not a stretch goal, is it? The special edition version, which is the tape deck.
Yep.
Which is beautiful. So that was the last one I backed. The one before that was actually Dan's.
Yep.
And then the 2 words, 1 finger. Kevin actually has done a lot. He's given me a lot of support over the last.
Of course.
Year or so. Yeah. I had to pick that deck up. It's one that everyone seems to have as well. Whenever I see a reel these days.
I didn't back it personally. It just wasn't my style, but I was gifted one. So I was happy to get one. I do have one in stock. Yeah. Again, there are so many campaigns. I pick and choose who I'm going to back. And granted, Kevin's a great guy. For me, the deck wasn't my taste, my style. But again, great guy. I think I always wish him and his other partner, the other 2 guys that worked on the deck. I was happy to see they got fun. I was happy to see another small creator in the mix, putting himself out there. Because it's scary when you put yourself out there. You're like, okay, this is my artwork. This is my style. I hope people like it enough to pledge for it. And if not, oh shit, what do I do? It's kind of sometimes when your campaigns don't fund, it's like almost a bit of a soul crusher. I mean, the guys that myself and the guys at Dealing Seconds, we felt that when we did. We had 2 campaigns. We had the casino deck we originally did, which was we knew it wasn't going to fund. We just we liked it, but we knew it was going to be a bit of a rough one. But the last one we did, the Crafters deck. James did an amazing artwork on it, and we were like, okay, we had Bicycle approved. This was going to be a Bicycle branded deck, the whole 9, and it looked great. We thought it was going to, do gangbusters, and it flopped. We literally bombed out at 30%. We're like, okay, this is a bit of a soul crusher. We really put a lot of time and effort into this one, try to push it, and it's just like, God damn it, what do we have to do now? Like, are the big boys really playing this hard that us little guys can't get any love? And it's just like, oh. So we decided let's put it on. We'll put it on the shelf for now. We'll come back to it hopefully in the next year or so. We all have our own thing. Yeah, we all have things that we're working on right now, myself included. I have a couple little personal things I'm working on in the card community, with the deck or whatnot. Maybe we'll see eventually. But at the end of the day, if small guys like you and Luke and even Emily, for Christ's sake, I mean Emily Slights is now at the point where I think she can fund her own decks, which is fine.
I'm gonna say, it's funny you mentioned Emily because out of everyone that I would actually, I mean, obviously, if I was going to collaborate with anybody, I think I'd really like to collaborate with Luke and have a really nice Luke weighted deck out there. But he'd probably say no.
Luke actually watches our podcast. Yeah, he's one of those few. He's one of the creators that literally I can text him, I can DM him at any time of the day, and he will always answer me. And I'm very appreciative of the fact that he does answer me because he doesn't have to, and he does. And I know he watches the podcast. So Luke, if you're listening to this, that way, Steven wants to work with you. Hey, you guys are in the UK. You're together. You're in the same time zone.
It's a match made in heaven, Luke. Come on. No, I would say there's like leagues where designers are, and I think Luke's a little bit higher than I am. So
you know what? I bet you Luke would actually say, if he was here right now, and he would say he is not. He is so damn humble. No matter how much he gets praise and recognition, he is so damn humble every time anybody mentions his name or posts something about him. He's thrilled to see it because he doesn't think of himself that way. So you know what? I doubt he'll ever say that to you at all.
It could be a British thing, really.
It could be.
But yeah, Emily as well. So she has some great ideas. Like some of her decks are just like. The fact I don't know how she does it. She just has these amazing ideas, and all of a sudden this amazing deck just comes out of it. And yeah, I mean, like the detective one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fantastic idea. That I think she should be really proud of that one.
I think her ideas, the ones that I think she knows will do really well. She might already had the designs already done months and months in advance. So they're already sitting there. I know she works with designers to get ideas done. And don't get me wrong, like I understand with Emily, she puts out so many decks, but the one thing about her, she delivers. She's very quick on the delivery. She's very precise on it. She's very attentive, with that, which is great. I think she's at the point now where she could probably maybe do one or two self-funded decks. And granted, I think some of her projects that she has done recently shows, I think, that she might have self-funded, because my thinking is, as we all know, with USPCC or Carta Mundi, it's taking a long time to print. A long time. She's flipping a campaign in 2 months. Either USPCC has a special treatment for her or something, because she's putting out so many decks. Maybe they're able to, do something special with her or work out a deal or something. Or she funded already, like 90% funded the deck ahead of time and just wanted to, maybe change up a little bit, maybe a different stock or something like that, which is perfectly fine. I totally agree with that. Like, hey, if you need that little extra couple $1,000s just to get that better stock or change the finish a bit, go right ahead, but let us know. Like, I'm the type of person, like, if you are extremely transparent, I'm happy with that. Even if, let's say, hey, I'm 75% full, self-funding this. I just need that extra $4,000 to get me to the finish line. That's fine. Because that's why sometimes, like with us, like when I see sometimes on campaigns, not Emily's, but like in general, I'm seeing, such a low funding goal of like $3,000 or $2,000, like $4,000, and it's printed with USPCC. I'm just like, there's something going on here. Either the cards are in queue or whatever the case may be, but there's something going on, but they don't say in the campaign. And it just irks me at times. I'm just like, why can't you just be transparent?
Yeah, that's true. I think if I was in that position, and I would very much like to be, if this did really well, if this campaign did really well, I would try and do something similar with my next one. But I would obviously make it clear in the campaign. I mean, it's just the way I am anyway. Cause I don't like holding anything back, but yeah, I would say, like, look, this was part funded by the Beyond campaign, so the production is already in print, and then I would just set a limit of how many, depending on what I've ordered.
Exactly. And
yeah,
I think
I would definitely tell people that it's,
yeah, I think that's a smart idea, and I think that just I just think that shows, the transparency, shows the honesty, shows that people can trust you. Like, hey, yes, these are printed, but I need to pay for the rest of the print. That's it. You know, and they're already in print. They're already in the queue. You're not waiting. And that is actually, I think, another selling point on Kickstarter. Like, hey, if you could tell your potential backers, like, hey, you don't have to wait 4, 5, 6, even sometimes up to a year, 4, 5, 6 months up to a year to get your deck. You're going to get your deck in 3 months. It's already in the queue. They're already printing, but we just need to do a couple, whether it be a tuck upgrade or something like that. It's just like, hey, let us know. So when I get the deck, when you fund in July and you're already fulfilling in September or October, it's like there has to be something else, because there's no way in hell USPCC and Cartamundi right now are flipping a small creator's deck in like 2 months. And that's not including shipping the deck to whether it be gamblers or to yourself to self-fulfill. It's like, or even Henry, because I know right now you're using Henry here in the States for your campaign, which, by the way, is a great idea. Henry is amazing. SoCal playing cards. If you haven't heard them in this community, you're an idiot. Go check them out. And then I saw that you're self-fulfilling in the UK.
Yeah, I did that. Well, I've done that for every single one, just the UK.
What about who's?
Sending?
I was going to ask who's doing international besides the US and the UK.
I'm not right. Henry, when I first worked with Henry, he shipped international for me, so I'm going to try and sweet talk him a little bit. But I will see, because I definitely need the fulfillment for international. So it's either going to be Henry or me. I've done it before. I will probably be doing Australia's as well. And then, I am going to sweet talk Henry for the rest. He normally does at least North and South America for me.
Yeah.
So, and Japan. He's done Japan and South Korea and everything. So he's no stranger to it, let's say.
Okay. I mean, then again, it's like no matter what, you're going to be in good hands with Henry. We all know he'll probably say. We all know he's probably going to say yes if you sweet talk him, and he's one of those He's one of the nicest guys in the community, and we're very lucky to have him in this community. For everything that he does, not just the SoCal playing card store or the filming, just as a person, he's a great guy.
Definitely.
Him and his wife.
He backs. Yeah, definitely. And he backs as well. Like every time, like he's not just waiting for me to give him that money so he can just do his part. Yeah. He's supporting me as well. So it's
exactly.
He's just
That's the one good thing about
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is one of those people in the community that he will always be there to help everybody out, which is great. Which we're all grateful for. Well, with that being said, Stephen, I want to say again, thank you for joining me on this podcast. It's going to go up. I normally try to get podcasts up within like a week. I try my best, but this one I'm going to try to push a little faster because campaign still has 24 days. I want to get it up before it goes, before your campaign finishes for sure. But Stephen, seriously, thank you again for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure having you. Got to get you back on. Maybe if you're listening / watching, first off, he wants to collab with you. Second of all, get both of you on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll sabotage him. You invite him, and then
I've tried. I've tried. Luke is one of those guys that he's always busy. That's the problem. He's always damn busy, and I get it. He's in high demand. He's also an amazing artist. He does his own. He has his job and everything like that. But it's just like, geez, trying to get that guy to sit down for an hour to talk is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. It never happens.
Yeah, I do have a good idea for him. Well, I think it's a good idea anyway. I'll see what he says.
Luke, see, another possibility.
Luke.
Another possibility.
If it's all right, I'm going to do one quick shout out.
Of course.
A young creator on the scene. He was at Cardistry-Con. A couple of people have sent me his profile, and he actually started talking to me today. So I'm just going to skill playing cards. I would go and check that out if
also,
you like good design.
I'll link his Instagram down in the description below. Definitely everything that Stephen just said, he'll be linked. Go check him out for sure and give him a follow. Never hurts.
Definitely.
All right, Stephen. Well, I know you have your kids waiting for you. Thank you again for everything, man.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
See you later.